And yes, we are back, and still in studio with us is Honorable Henry Banyezachi, a former Minister for Economic Monitoring at the Office of the President and currently Director Operations Wealth Creation, still in the same office. So we are still digesting factors. These discussions are tracking down the fast rising commodity prices in the country. So, Honorable, we've been looking at the issue of fuel prices in Uganda. Most Ugandans do believe, by the way, that by the end of 2025, when we first get our first oil drop, just like we already signed the final investment decision, they do believe that we shall not have this crisis anymore. How true is that?
It takes time. The final investment decision, which was done recently, doesn't automatically mean that we are out of the problem of fuel. All fuel is going, the first drop of fuel is going to be there immediately, no. But of course, when we get our own fuel, then that means that we shall be we shall be standing a better position, in a sense that we can control the price, we can control the production cost at that level. There will be no transportation costs. We are producing our own oil. That's why, like, for example, when you go in the Arab countries, fuel is much more cheaper than water. Actually, even when you compare here, you know, fuel per se, this petrol, diesel, whatever, talk about it, it's not an expensive item per se. In some cases, water here, it is more expensive than fuel. Are you aware? Water.
To me, it looks like fuel is more expensive.
Well,
First, take me through
how much do you buy a bottle of water in a premium hotel? 2,000.
2,000.
Like a bottle of half liter.
Which is
so
actually
a liter
1,000
is 4,000.
Others sell it 500.
Others sell it, if you go to Sheraton, they sell that water at 5,000. So which means you are buying a liter of water at 10,000.
And yet you could actually get 5 bottles out
just
of that.
Below Sheraton, just opposite. A liter of petrol, you say it is 5,000, diesel is 4,000, a liter. But a liter of water at that Shell Imperial Hotel, a liter of water at Imperial Hotel, you are buying it at 6,000. Okay, you see the sense?
Yes. Now it becomes actually very expensive, like you say. But that is for the high end.
Not for the high end, because even when you go in these hotels, you will find that they are selling you water at 2,000, half liter
500
bottle.
mils.
Okay, yes. So 2,000 plus 2,000 for it is 4,000. So you can see that when you put in that logic, this petrol is not actually very expensive as per se. No, it's not. So that means that if we are producing our own diesel here, it can even go as low as 2,000.
Okay.
Yeah, but because of course these international market prices and because at times when you are oil producing, when you join that club, then you start determining prices together. Okay. It is also determined by multinational cartels, and they come together and determine the prices. So definitely the point is, when we start producing our oil, which is a process, I cannot say that it is very soon. Saying very soon, it will be, I can't say that. But if we were to do that, then the prices of fuel will go down.
Okay. Now
that should be our prayer.
Honorable, we are in 2022, and everyone looks at 2022 as a year of economic recovery. We are looking at financial year 2022 to 2023 to actually look at more of economic recovery. But with the increase in commodity prices recently have actually led to the increase in inflation to 3.2%. Is there a need to worry for a nation like Uganda?
Of course. Rising inflation inputs into many things. It means that even the interest rates in the banks has to be increased in tandem with inflation, because money is losing. The money you are keeping in the bank, when you borrow money, by the time you are paying it back, it will have lost value. So when they are borrowing you that money, they put in that cost. So that means that the cost of financing, cost of interest becomes high. And that also inputs into the cost of production. And when you are having, that means that if the salaried workers, if you had 1 million this 1 month, buying 20, say, goods, in the next month you will buy less goods. In the next year you will buy less goods. In subsequent coming years, it may not even be of value. So that means that we even lose motivation as workers. So inflation is so worrying. So it needs to be Bank of Uganda, and of course Minister of Finance. It's that Minister of Finance, the parent ministry, and Bank of Uganda, which is in charge of monetary policy. They need to work hard, and the Minister of Finance needs to work hard, so that the Minister of Bank of Uganda, which is on monetary policies, the money supply, those are monetary policies about money supply, and the Minister of Finance, which spends fiscal policy, they need to work together in tandem so that there is a lot of money going in the public, which is there isn't be spending far, where you are having government spending just for spending.
Okay.
So there should be calculated spending. Spending should go to production, so that you spend to build factories, you spend to build roads, you spend for education, you spend for health, so that there is production. And once there is production, then the goods are being produced, services are being produced. Now when you have a lot of production of goods, because there are many goods being produced, they bring the prices down. If there are too much food being produced, the price of foods will not be very high. If you are having a production of, there is enough sugar being produced, you can't put your prices high. If you invest in infrastructure, and there is the railway system to bring those railway wagons with fuel at a low cost, and the cost of transportation of that fuel, the fuel goes down. So this expenditure should spur production, not expenditure, not just throwing away money and you are for eating just. So when you are having, like, for example, the highly praised, it's a parish development model. If you are going to send this trillion into the public just for the people to eat just and spend just, you are going to expect inflation.
Honorable.
Because there will be too much money that's going into the people, and it's not for production. So the money which is going for this production, for parish development model, should go to production. Into agricultural sector, to make sure that the wananchi are going into producing goods and providing services. But if you are going to put this money into seminars, into workshops, then there will be
sending to bishops,
into allowances.
To go and
get
set
my point?
awareness.
If you are going calling people, come for a workshop, come for a seminar, come for allowances, then you are paying money after that, then they will be having too much money to spend. And because they have too much money to spend, and you have not put this money into production, into agro-processing mechanism, you have not put this money into infrastructure, into these areas that matter, then you are going to have, you may even end up having hyperinflation.
Honorable, in just 2 minutes of your last submission, I want you to give your last submission on the same topic that we've been discussing. And also, you've mentioned something about the parish development model. I do believe with the Operation Wealth Creation was also focusing on some of the same things that the parish development model looks at, though the parish development model is targeting the parish situation. With in just 2 minutes, how best do you think the parish development model can meet its objectives, and also how can Ugandans live with the current situation as we're summing up?
Parish development model can meet its objective if a substantial amount of money, as I have said, is injected and invested into the productivity sector, such that when you put this money at the parish model, at the parish, that money goes into agricultural sector to make sure that there's enough agricultural products. And if you put this into this kind of model, and again, if you can invest into cottage industries. I was here when I was waiting, I was asking for coffee. And the coffee I was saying, I want the person who was going, don't serve me Nescafe.
Okay.
So if you are going to have, like, say, this money is going to Bugisu, this money is going to Kigezi, and then there is cottage industries, and we are having coffee packed in Bugisu, coffee packed in Kigezi, tea packed in Kigezi. You are having, let's say, fruits which are dried and packed, juice which is produced. You have in cottage industries. You are having small, medium enterprises, small, medium, micro processing, agro processing industries. Then that means that you are having, you are adding value. If you put this money into education, if you put money into the health sector, but if you are going, that's the only way we can do it. And to achieve that, we need a substantial amount of money per parish. Not this 17 and 30 million shillings that we are talking about. Okay. How can 30 million shillings develop a parish of 30 villages? Okay. You are talking of 1 million per village. Okay. Can 1 million develop a village? No. If you are talking about 100 million on a village, maybe that 100 million of a village, you can have an estate of some kind of, let's say if it is in Kigezi, then you are having people growing more potatoes, growing more sorghum. That sorghum is growing more barley. That barley, that sorghum, those apples will be used by Uganda breweries to produce, say, beer or whatever. If you put it in Karangara, you're having people growing more palm oil. If you put it in Ilangu in northern Uganda, more people are growing simsim, more people are growing sunflower, supplying industries to produce that oil, that oil which will go back to the people at a lower price. You get?
Yes, yes.
So the investment at the parish should be in production sector, and it should be substantial, not peanut.
Okay. Honorable, as we're summing up now, because we're running out of time, lastly, in 30 seconds, how can Ugandans live with the continuous prices that we're having? How best can they live with this situation?
How best can they live with this situation? They can live best if the government is to create an enabling environment that will spur production, where everybody is productive, invest in skills so that people get the skills, people get to work, people get jobs, and the prices, these commodities don't have to rise anyway. We don't have to live in a situation where the commodities, we are living in the rising commodities are rising. No, we should live into an optimum time. We should look at that kind of time where prices are stable, where our shilling is not losing its value, where the environment is enabling, where the cost of doing business is low, where the government is so responsive, not to have a lot of, administration costs are very high, and we are investing into administration, into workshops, into high salaries for politicians. We should be having more technical people than politicians. But nowadays we have more politicians. Everybody is fighting to go to parliament. Everybody is fighting to be a councillor. We are creating more districts, more, So instead of creating more factories, we create more cottage factories. We create so that the youth are engaged in production, not into consumption just.
All right. Many thanks for joining us this morning. This conversation has actually been an insightful one, and I do hope all the viewers out there have picked up something out of it. Is Honorable Henry I really need to get this name right.
Banyenzachi.
Dr. Honorable Henry Banyenzachi, former Minister of Economic Monitoring in the Office of the President, currently Director of the Operation Wealth Creation in the Office of the President, who is taking us through the issues regarding the fast rising commodity prices in the country. With that, we take a break, but I do return shortly with more from Sports Business. Keep it SMB.